Last year at some point, I did a video having a look at this DeepCool Matrix case, and I referred to it as an Ebola case just because of how terrible the building experience is in it. Well, DeepCool saw that video and decided to send me a new MATX case to show to me how much better their new line of MATX cases are. So today we're gonna compare the Macube 120 to the Ebola case. Let's pit these two cases head to head in the age-old deathmatch arena of death. Deathmatch arena of death! But before that, there's a sponsor for today's video. This video is sponsored by Linode, which is a powerful and affordable Linux-based cloud computing service which is very easy to use. Linode has a large marketplace with fully configured one-click apps for whatever use case you need Linux-based web servers for, be it WordPress development and hosting. If you're new to self-hosting apps, check out Cloudron, which is like a marketplace inside Linode's marketplace. Some tasty marketception right there. Cloudron comes with over 100 cloud apps to test on your servers, all installed through a simple web UI. They also have a variety of game server hosting options for you scrubs out there. And considering that we're currently mid-scalpocalypse and physical hardware is very difficult to get your hands on, if you have heavy compute applications, Linode offers affordable options for that, be it CPU-intensive, RAM-intensive, or GPU-intensive workloads. And when it comes to GPU compute loads, Linode's not messing around. They're using NVIDIA Quadro RTX 6000 series GPUs for the max horsepower possible. If this sounds good to you, sign up using the link in my description below for a $100 60-day credit. Now, straight off the bat, they aren't entirely comparable like for like. Yes, they're both MATX cases, but the Macube is a bit more expensive than the Matrix Ebola. But you do get a lot more case for your money, and it looks a lot better. Although it has the standard modern case issue of having pretty much no front ventilation. There are these gaps on the side of the front, but they have a very restrictive mesh on them. And then behind that mesh, there's another plastic lip which introduces more resistance. Yeah, it's not looking good, considering the fact that pretty much the only thing that I liked about the Ebola case was its front airflow, so they didn't carry that over into the Macube, unfortunately. Other than that, when it comes to the interior, the Macube is again a huge upgrade. You can see that there is an open plan design with a power supply basement, which makes hiding cables and stuff significantly more easier. As opposed to the inside of the Ebola case, which is just a nightmare to cable manage in a way that looks nice, and because it's a really small case, everything just about fits in it, which adds to the frustration of building with the case. Another big improvement with the Macube is the fact that it has one of the nicest tempered glass mounting systems that I've ever seen on a case. It's magnetically attached and you just kind of hinge it off and then lift it out, which is amazing. I really like that. Whereas the Ebola case has a pretty bad tempered glass mounting system. Although it is better than that pink case that I had a look at a while ago, because the side panel doesn't immediately drop off the moment that you remove the screws. Other Macube improvements includes just a whole bunch of radiator mounting space. Although I wouldn't recommend mounting a radiator in the front of the Macube, again, because well, there's not much airflow going on there. Now, like I hinted to earlier in the video, the building experience on the Macube is significantly better than the Ebola case. If you want a lot of detail about why I didn't like building in the Ebola case, go check out the original video. I'll have it linked in the description below. But yeah, the Macube pretty much fixes all of those problems. It passes with flying colors the Dawid case hand test, which means that you can easily plug in the CPU 8-pin power connector in the top with a tower cooler and it all mounted in the case. There's plenty of space there. Whereas the Ebola system really doesn't pass that test. Cable management, again, was a breeze in the system because, you know, it's got a modern interior of a case, so everything worked well. Although, I had a really weird issue with the case, and I don't know what it is with me and DeepCool. I kind of think that DeepCool cases are a bit cursed for me because every single DeepCool case that I've built in, I've had some weird, massive issue while building in it. And the problem that I had with the Macube is something that I almost don't really want to tell you about because Initially, I was just assuming that it was a Dawid user error, but it can't be a Dawid user error, and I'll explain why. And when it comes to the rear PCI Express covers on a case, you get two kinds. First, there's the good kind, which is held in by a screw. When you unscrew it, you can remove it easily, and then you can just put it back when you don't need to use that slot anymore. And then there's the bad kind, which isn't held in by a screw, but it's kind of still attached, and then you have to bend it out and break it off. Now, I've seen these on a lot of cases, and I never like them very much because you can't replace them if you're not using that slot anymore. But I've always been able to easily get them out. Whereas with the Macube, it was a complete nightmare. Like, I ended up savaging the case with pliers to get those two slot covers out. Now, the top and the bottom ones were okay because, again, they were just attached at the bottom, which meant you could easily bend them and break them out. Whereas with the middle two, they were equally attached at the top and the bottom. So it was basically like trying to rip a part of the case out. Now, the reason that I'm saying that I don't think that this is a Dawid user error is because if it was meant to easily come out, it wouldn't have been able to survive the thrashing that I had to give it with a set of pliers to get the damn things out. And by the end of it, I pretty much ruined the rear PCI Express bay in the Macube case. Now, I googled it, and it seems like this isn't a massive issue that a bunch of people have had, so it must have been just like a manufacturing default on the specific case that I had. But it was really hard work to get that crap out there, and I ended up scratching the inside of the case and scratching my motherboard a bit and stuff. So yeah, I'm not entirely sure what happened there. Let me know in the comments down below if you have one of these cases and if you had a tough time getting the middle two slot covers out. Like I said, the top two were really easy to get out. It was just the middle two that was the problem. So now we've seen how the Macube is an upgrade in a lot of ways over the Ebola case. But let's test the one potential downside of this case, which is the fact that they didn't carry over the front airflow. Now, the system that I used for the tests was my Gigabyte M80X motherboard with a Ryzen 7 1700X in there. Now remember, that motherboard doesn't like 8-core CPUs very much, so it's not going to boost above like 3.5 gigahertz, but you know, it'll still dump a reasonable amount of heat out into the case. The cooler that we're using for that CPU is a DeepCool cooler that looks like this, and then the graphics card is an RX 570, which is a fairly high TDP budget graphics card, so I think it'll be a good test for these two cases. While playing Battlefield 5, the temperatures are actually surprisingly similar, although for some reason the CPU temperatures in the Ebola case are quite a bit higher. I'm not quite sure what happened there. I did retest it after I kind of re-tightened down the cooler and stuff, so it doesn't seem to be a mounting issue. I'm not entirely sure what's going on there, but the GPU temperatures in the Ebola case are a little bit better. And then when it comes to a severe stress test situation with AIDA64 and Furmark running, the GPU temperatures are a little bit better on the Ebola case than it is on the Macube, but again, for some reason the CPU cooler temperatures are better on the Macube. The ambient temperature between the two test situations was identical. Yeah, I mean, the only variable is the cases between the two, so it has to have something to do with the airflow patterns in the cases. So yes, if you want better GPU thermals, get an Ebola case. If you want a better everything else, the Macube is a better option, which brings me to the end of the video. Thank you very much, DeepCool, for sending out the Macube and having a good sense of humor about the whole Ebola case thing. They took it really well, so I appreciate it. You all seem to be very nice. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe to the channel for more videos like this one, and until the next one, bye-bye.